Hello and welcome to the Captain's Table, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul Berserker01, Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender at the AstroPub, and your facilitator here with the Captain's Table. For those of you who don't know what the Captain's Table is, it's where I bring people from all over the Star Citizen universe to talk about Star Citizen. This is a live stream that I do usually on Saturdays, but since it's my summer, I have a lot more time to do these, and so I can gather people to talk about specific events or specific topics throughout the week. And so I've been, where normally wouldn't be able to come on because usually we do this on Saturdays, and some people's scheduling conflicts because Saturdays are, kind of important for most people. Most people enjoy doing things on those Saturdays because it's the weekend. So,
and it had nothing to do with my schedule or Myre's schedule or nothing like that. It was all, it was 100%
everyone else's
AstroPub's fault,
yes,
not ours.
With that being said, though, let's introduce individuals. Myth, who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen, and where can they find you?
Wow. Hi, everybody. I'm Mythematic. I'm a roleplay streamer here on the internets. I also am an aspiring blacksmith. What? Those are two different things. Yeah, that's what I'm doing these days. I also am a GM over on Table Story for Spellwind. I've been doing a lot of roleplay in a bunch of different games, and I started roleplaying in Star Citizen 2018 because I found the clip earlier, and haven't stopped. That's not true. I've taken a couple breaks, but I started my character then, and I've been really enjoying it. And what I do in Star Citizen is I play a character named Bear Black, who is a smuggler and cargo hauler, and he is smuggling illegal AI, unbraked AI, and trying to keep that safe out of the hands of Stanton and the Crusader and a lot of the factions that want to get hold of that technology. It's a lot of fun. I also have a new character named Streak, who is hello, it's me, Streak, and he is a bounty hunter, and that's sort of it. Those are my dudes these days. That's me. There's probably more stuff. Yeah, Bear Black and Jarvis.
Jarvis, yes. Who plays your Bear's nephew?
What was that?
Bear's nephew?
Bear's nephew, Brett, is my friend and Grenig who played with us. He's hilarious.
Yeah, he's great. So
Bear and Brett.
You've probably met Grenig or Myth at some point if you've run across someone role playing, because they've been doing this since literally for 5 years now. So yeah. It's been fun. They've come over to the bar. For those who don't know, every so often I'll actually do a bar stream where I'll set up like kind of a role play bar out of a ship. It's one I want to do long term. So both Bear and Brett have showed up to the bar multiple times. So
I think we've showed up one time with booze.
Yes.
Hey, we're here. We brought you some oldest. Brought you some beer for you.
And I think we just threw one of the boxes on the bar. Kind of like it was fun. It felt like we were like at a tailgate party, just like walking in and just throwing beer on the table. It was a lot of fun.
Myre, who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen, and where can they find you?
My name is Myre. What do I do in SC? I do pretty much everything in Star Citizen. Like before RP, I kind of just would just play the game and do all the missions and just talk to chat and all that thing. Within RP, I mean, SCRP is something that I kind of only recently kind of got proper stuck into. I think last year, after you introduced me to Mythematic through all the TTRPG stuff we do on this channel, things like The Expanse and the Spice Must Roll and stuff. We did a little like a skit in Star Citizen, like a thing where we had to break out Bear's Myth's character Bear from prison, and having to make a character and all that through that. But yeah, I mean, what do I do in Star Citizen? Everything. Yeah, you're gonna have to be more specific to draw more answers out of me.
For those of you who are wondering, people have asked me in the past, because I do. For those of you who know, I do another like a lore channel, and people's like, "Oh, well, read the lore stories. Who reads? You should just read the lore stories." I'm like, not going to do that because Myre already does that, or has done that in the past, and has several of those
in the
stories
past.
out.
Yes, the next one is overdue by at least 1.5 years, but I'll make sure to do it soon.
Lore.
So if you want to listen to these things as in terms of like audiobooks, Myre has those in the audiobook format and does the voices and everything. It's fantastic. So All right. Well, if it's not obvious by the title of this video, if you're watching this on YouTube or if you're watching this on Twitch, we're going to be talking about roleplay in Star Citizen. So for those of you who don't know what roleplay is, which could happen, it could happen. Maybe people may not know this. Roleplay is where you effectively take on the role of somebody else in the game. I know most people know role-playing games like single-player games and such, but there is and has been a healthy online community of online role players with various games for years now. Arguably, some of the most famous games and famous players who've streamed on Twitch or gamers who've created content on YouTube started out with role-playing or continue to do role-playing. So as a result, Star Citizen is inevitably going to attract people who do role-play. But before we get to that whole kind of discussion on what roleplay is in Star Citizen now, what does it mean in the future, let's just say, Myre, let's start with you because you got this one. Myth already introduced Bear Black. Who do you play in roleplay? Who's your main character that you tend to play?
So within Star Citizen, I don't really have like concrete characters the same way that Myth does. I don't really have backstory attached to the characters that I make. I kind of do two kind of forms of role play within Star Citizen. I kind of assume the role of myself, Myre, within the game Star Citizen as if it was a world. And that way, if something happens in game that needs me to do something and somebody else is in the area, it's just a bit more immersive to just be in the, be there as the character. I do have a few characters, like my pirate org character called, Uri Abyss that kind of works with Bear Black. He's like, oh, Bear, got a job for you, all that stuff. All right.
Well, if you have 5 minutes, we got a vidcom to do with this bartender at the edge of the universe there called the AstroPub. Yeah, he's
I'm over here on Yellow. I can see if I can make my way over there. Not entirely sure if that's
all right.
Plan to make it over there. All right, great. I'll do what I can. Jarvis has got some stuff. Yeah, we'll be there.
All right. Okay, we can wait. Okay. All right, you hang up.
Okay.
I can't believe he hung up.
But yeah, I tend to make characters that kind of facilitate other people's roleplay. I mean, because right now RP is still kind of in its infancy. Unless you have the same facilities that Myth has, in his head, where he can be two characters at once. You kind of required to have other people around you to be able to, at least when you're doing RP as a thing to present to people. A lot of times though, sometimes I will kind of monologue to an imaginary command and that kind of stuff, and incorporate chat that way as well. But yeah, the second kind of role play, I guess, is just kind of making a character in the moment for somebody else who's role playing. So we have a bunch of friends over from the Table Story community who just started joining in the SCRP thing. And, I just make a character for that day to help them with something. So the first day they all started completely green. I made a, my name is D.I. Dallas, and I'm here to help you out with, finding out how this character works and all that stuff. And don't you dare talk about my accent. It's a satellite accent. Okay, he grew up on a space station that had a lot of Western TV shows, and it's not actually from Texas. All right.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. All right. Okay.
It's all right. You can still be from Texas. We just make fun of you for being from the Panhandle. That's all.
All right. Okay. Texas. It's all Panhandle.
All Panhandle in space. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go on to another thing. So you don't just RP in Star Citizen, right? You RP in other games as well. What is the differences in your experience between Star Citizen and, say, because I know you do Wild RP and TTRPGs. You've been both of you have been on my specialist role. I know you do Table Story as well, Myre, and you do a lot of other things like that. And I know you do voice acting work. So what's the experience with terms of getting into character for Star Citizen versus, or even the experience of playing a character in Star Citizen versus the other experiences you've had?
Chord.
Okay,
all right, here I am.
Yeah.
Sure, thank you. Star Citizen's really cool in the fact when it comes to role playing, you can log in and be that character and just immerse yourself in the character. There's also There's a lot of bugs, obviously, that happen in Star Citizen. There's a lot of also setup time that happen with a lot of different scenes or events when you're doing Star Citizen. Like, oh, all of our friends are going to go over and do a bunker run over on Hurston. That's going to take 45 minutes to an hour to set up just getting friends in the ship. That also applies too with setting up sort of any sort of scene in Star Citizen. And with setting up that scene, what's also really cool and what some of my friends have been doing recently is we've been setting up scenes in the background as different NPCs so we could then present our friends with a scenario or a scene. So like there's been times like what Myre has been doing has been making these like one-off characters so they can jump into other people's story and sort of facilitate that person's RP and such. The same sort of thing happens here, where with like the differences. I guess the question was here: what's the difference between tabletop RP as well as like Wild or Red Dead RP or
Mhm.
GTA RP and Star Citizen RP? Is Star Citizen comes with a little bit more of like a production type like setup. You can, like I said, go around and be your character. That works as well, but I feel like for me at least 80% of it's just a number I grabbed from the air. 80% of my role play is making sure that it is immersive content. And when I say content, I'm not saying like usable content for other content creators, but just like um, usable, not usable. Like it is something that those around me can sink their teeth into when it comes to immersion and when it comes to enjoying the game.
It,
I think what I did with a lot of my community for a while was just role play at people who were
mhm.
coming onto the ship or even in stars or space stations until they role played back.
Mhm.
And in this game, it's so immersive that it's very easy for people to key on their mic and just sort of answer, "Hey, where you going?" Heading over to Yellow to do some shipping. Oh, great! Like they don't know, they don't realize, but what they just said is 100% in character. So
Exactly.
it's yeah,
Mhm.
and then it's like, all right, great, and then you just have that conversation. They start to slip into it. The game is super immersive when it comes to that. It's also very cinematic, which is wonderful. It gives you like these drone cams and things, so you can like you can press F4, which is usually your default camera key, and you've got all these different camera advanced options you can do to sort of set a stage or preset props or camera movements. There is, I feel like in Star Citizen, because of not how hard it is, but the time sink that goes into setting up a scene or setting up something perfectly. Nothing really happens
Hmm.
perfectly in the game, and we all know that as
Right.
Star Citizen players. But if you want something to go as perfect as you can, you need to put some time into it or time setting it up. Like Myre, your Carrick event that you did with the Dallas character, you had
It
like what, 2 or 3 streams before where you were
Yeah,
setting it up.
2 or 3 whole streams, maybe about, like, once I decided what I wanted that scenario to be, it took about 4 hours to set up that thing.
Yeah.
So because it involved, like, if you wanna include the time it took to, like, claim the carrack, to fly the carrack from Port Olisar to Hurston, to grab a Pisces and blow it up, so I have, like, an SCU box and a 2 SCU box, and then to buy the stuff from ArcCorp so that they all have the same matching uniform, and then
Mhm.
stock those boxes, and then buy more boxes, and then do some set dressing and all that stuff, and then cross your fingers we don't 30K throughout the entire experience and
Yeah.
have to redo the entire thing over again. Yeah, it took about 3.5 hours or so, just to set up. But
Yeah.
for some reason, nothing bad happened at all. Like, nobody died, nobody crashed,
Praise the
and
Roberts.
yeah, praise the Roberts. But I mean, like what you talk about before, about like Star Citizen being a completely different platform for RP than other things, like Red Dead RP and stuff, and
Yeah.
TTRPG in general, is I think it's kind of like testament to just Chris Roberts and how he wants his game to be, because like he has this movie background, and every other thing you see is like I want it to be kind of movie-esque. And so you have all these production building blocks for Star Citizen that kind of allows you to make a very different kind of RP experience. But the downtime is hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
The downtime
Exactly.
is just, ugh, it's like real life downtime. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll start with you, Myth, on this one.
Okay.
What would you say to anybody who wants to get involved in role play? Say somebody who's been involved in, say, role playing servers in, say, like DayZ or GTA. What would you tell them as to say, hey, I want to come to Star Citizen and I want to do role play in Star Citizen? What advice would you give them?
My professional advice is, hey, go check out my organization on Roberts Space Industries where it's called MythRP, and I'm trying to curate and make a giant, awesome organization with people and their characters, and where like a database where we can all go together and pluck people and recruit people for different jobs and things. That's my professional answer, but my honest answer, because I haven't been able to actually update that organization in a while. And I've got so many other things on my mind that it's hard for me to do that. So my honest answer is just go in and do it. Have a bunch of friends and get in there and do it. There are a lot of, even in the industry of streaming and content creation, the amount of DMs I would get that would be like, hey, have you checked out this game? It's got so much role play potential. And I'm like, why aren't you role playing it then? And they're like, well, it just doesn't have the tools yet. I'm like, well, what are the tools? And they're like, well, it's got VoIP and stuff. And I was like, great, then role play. And they're like, oh, it's not ready. I'm like, you just don't want to. You just don't want to yet. You have to like, who's going to start it? It's like the first person on the dance floor at your high school dance. Someone's got to start it, you know? So be that person. And right now, some people are starting to mingle and make their way onto the dance floor of this weird role play prom that's happening in Star Citizen. And I think it's a matter of time before the people, the wallflowers, start to walk on and start enjoying themselves and expressing themselves through dance and art and role play within the, this example is going way too far, but that's my
what an analogy.
what an analogy. Yeah.
So you're saying it's like a middle school. It's like a middle school dance. Sometimes you just get to rip that band
dance.
off.
Just join Myre and I dancing. Okay, we're the only people. No, I'm kidding.
But everyone's too scared about being awkward. Like
exactly.
If you want to get into RP in Star Citizen in particular, because that's the question, turn on your microphone and talk to the next person that walks up to you. Don't say, hi, my name is, whatever. I come from this station and this is my backstory. Just say, hey, how's it going? And talk.
Where are you going? Yeah. Those relationships in a game.
I had a great experience where I did some RP in Star Citizen, and I was talking to someone in the station, and someone started insulting me. And so I challenged them to a duel at a specific location, and they showed up. I got killed, but we showed up. Every so often, I'd bump into him in the verse every so often, and he's like, hey, you're the guy I dueled in front of a mine gosh, what was it? In Daymar. I'm like, yeah, I remember that. That was insane. So you never know who you'll run into, who people just can enjoy it. So all right. So let's talk about the kind of future potential for Star Citizen in terms of role play. Like, what would
favorite word?
What would you see? What would you like to see in the future to help create more role play experiences and to help ease people in the role play, or even get more interesting things or more make it easier or make it more interesting? For role play
will age well.
Yes,
boy, fix it.
Yeah, I mean, as Cord says, Star Citizen right now, because of the way it's being built by CR and CIG and all that, it already kind of like it has this leg up over every other game that kind of like gets RP done for it. Like, it's being made as a role play game. Like, if you take a step back and you look away from, if you take a step back and look at the game, like, it's literally an RP game. I mean, like, the way that they've done the VoIP, for instance, like, is bar none some of the coolest stuff that I've seen in a video game. Like, voice is a physical entity that travels, and you can glitch it out so you can actually see how it works. Like, if somebody talks and then you go into like third person and you pan back, then chances are, as you pan the camera back, your camera will then like meet that person's voice again, giving you like this weird Doppler effect. Because like when somebody shouts, like it records how loud they talk, so that when somebody screams in a station, then their voice will carry as if someone has screamed across an actual hall. Like the reverb, all this stuff. There's so many tools within Star Citizen already that just make it the best like RP kind of platform you can have. The only thing that's causing issues right now that kind of prevents it from being the best thing it could possibly be, and is one of the reasons why you don't have these bigger role players and bigger role playing groups playing SC right now, is the fact that when you start talking in VoIP, that same bug I mentioned before, you press F4, you press F4 again, and you're disconnected from the VoIP channel and the VoIP server. Like 9 times out of 10, you just get no audio anymore. You can't hear anybody else. If they can fix that bug, if they can make it so that when I talk to somebody, they can hear me. When I calm them, they can hear me. I can talk back. And then maybe perhaps if they can build upon that. So if you're in a party, somebody talks and it keeps changing their cameras, like Star Fox style.
Yeah.
They don't need anything else. You have
Yeah.
games like Wild RP, the Red Dead Redemption 2 roleplay server, and that's like so bare bones. They're adding content to it, but when you compare the stuff that you can do in Star Citizen to the stuff you can do in Wild RP, it doesn't even compare at all. All you need for a roleplay server, all you need for a roleplay story is just to be able to communicate. And right now, communication is really the thing that's kind of like falling short in Star Citizen because of a bug.
Okay.
I love
Myth,
this so
anything else?
I have nothing else. I feel like Qui-Gon watching Obi-Wan be awesome. Like, yes,
Yes, my apprentice. Very well. Good save. Well done.
What do you,
yeah, it's awesome.
I've got a bad feeling about this.
what,
No,
what,
no,
what,
no, everything's fine.
what in the future do you think will help facilitate it even more? Is there anything like you see in the distant horizon that would also include stuff like that, other than the bug fixing?
Okay.
Because I know both of you are very adaptive. You both come from different spaces, especially
Right.
TTRPG spaces, where we just work in the theater of the mind all the time. So it's easy to just kind of drop into that. But think about it, in terms of, are there anything that be added that
Realistically, with what I mean, with features that we know that are coming around, we have this whole like the PES, the persistent entity streaming stuff that's coming in, and server meshing. Well, once server meshing comes in, then that will allow people to say, and of course PES, and we're getting not homesteading, but we're going to be getting the first ever what do they call it again? Like frontier pioneering outposts in the game. With 317.2, it's in the they mentioned it, right? So once those things are in, then a roleplay community, it doesn't have to be anything big, just basically anything, right? Can say, hey, all right, so our community has their base in X location, and now you have a spot within Star Citizen, within the alpha, where all role players can go to who, want to be part of a thing, that's something that's coming around the horizon. I think will be really cool. Just all the server meshing stuff to allow more people to show up and be in a server, so you don't have to worry about having to connect to the right one. Server meshing will just be like, oh, someone's in this location, and so the way I understand server meshing, you don't from the main menu choose I want to go to an EU server, a US server. You just get into the game, and then when you go to a specific location, then if anybody else in that game is in that location, then there'll be a server for that location, and then anybody there will then just show up. So once that's in, and once a roleplay community goes, okay, this is our place, then you'll have this localized region in Star Citizen where people just will roleplay because that's what people do there,
Awesome. Okay. Myth, is there anything else you'd add to that specifically? Anything you'd like to see
When it comes to in the future, what can be
to
What's the
make it
question
easier,
again?
to make
Make it
roleplay
easier?
easier or more accessible for people?
I don't know. I think what is stopping or keeping I think what's making it unaccessible is just, like I said, like the culture. I think it's the game started out as a hangar,
Mhm.
and then it started out as a space station where you fly your ships. And then everything started to sort of build onto it because we've been watching this entire time of Star Citizen under the microscope of development this whole time. Of course, it comes with every patch. There's bugs, and everybody has their criticisms and everything. But also with that sort of watching it grow from the seed that was the hangars, it's also the culture that it has and the fandom has. There's a lot more of a flight sim fandom around Star Citizen, which is not, I'm not saying a bad thing, but I'm just saying people are very interested in, this is a flight sim game. Oh, this is super cool. It's about flying. Just because the first couple things you could do was fly around in a ship and have a ship. So people think it's a spaceship game. But it's called Star Citizen, not spaceships.
Mhm.
So you're trying to and will be a Star Citizen at some point with a whole bunch of blah 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 blah. And I just think that um, we are shifting now as the culture and the fandom starts
Like-
to then get more immersive and start to with the with VoIP and people getting more comfortable and chatting and blah blah blah, and also with role play just on Twitch and in the role play space,
Mhm.
being on the in the industry and people are watching it and enjoying it, are going to be inspired to just have fun in space. If you're out there and watching and want to get into role play, just do it.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any mechanics that I am looking forward to help role play. I think there are mechanics out there that are exciting to role play in, like salvage. I think it's going to be sweet.
All mechanics
And
are roleplay mechanics.
Yeah,
in my
yeah,
all
opinion.
mechanics are
exactly. Even a
mechanics.
bug, even
Yeah.
like people stream sniping, I call them pirates. You know, like just and then you shoot them down. Oh, there's a pirate here, and then you shoot them down. Or if there's someone, or like PvPers, oh, that's a bounty hunter, they're on my butt, or whatever it is. Like you can anything. If you just say yes to whatever's being put in front of you, including bugs, there's a really cool way that you could, if you could somehow justify a narrative reason for it to exist as a role play, then it exists. Also, this is sort of off the topic, but this is a really fun thing that I spoke to a inside information at Star Citizen was everything, and this is probably not even a secret, but spoilers to those who don't know this or whatever. Here's some news: everything you do in Star Citizen is canon to Star Citizen.
Yeah.
You make a character, your character exists in Star Citizen. If you're like, oh, I want to be a character that hacks into the mainframe of blah blah blah, well, you can do that, one, for the mechanics, and also that is something you do. The Jump Town, remember the Jump Town event that happens all the time, which we're getting, I think, this weekend.
Yeah.
That was a thing that happened because of the fandom created it, because of how the mechanics were working. There were the Jump Town wars, and now we know, and you could watch AstroPub's video of it. Hey, look what I did.
Yeah.
About the Jumptown Wars, and that was a fan created thing. And then Robert Space Industries and CIG were like, you know what? And that's how old I am. I say Robert Space Industries and CIG. They said yes, and then put it and gave it an immersive hook, and now it's a part of the lore. So the CIG is always looking out for the fans and what the fans are doing to create more content for us in the game. Because of the Jumptown Wars, the next patch that changed that screwed around with Jumptown Wars was if anybody could remember what happened after Jumptown Wars, we couldn't jump from one planet to another without being stopped by
Yeah.
security. And that was because of the Jumptown Wars, because everybody was smuggling. So they reacted like they were role playing, like a dungeon master would. Okay, you're doing
Right.
this. Now we're going to throw this in. And that's what they were doing. And it's a really cool way of, one, testing out mechanics, but also a really cool way of keeping a timeline and narrative going. So,
Yeah.
I'm just off on a little bit of a tangent.
Yeah, no, it's
everything you do is lore, is canon.
They even in like ATC, back when it was called ATV, even around the verse, they even like had like an intro segment where this guy was a news reporter talking about the Jumptown Wars and that kind of thing as well. That was really cool.
I'm trying to think what it is that it's funny because the Jumptown Wars have actually led to the latest event in Star Citizen. Because without the Jumptown Wars, because who owns Jumptown but the Ninetales? And the Ninetales made a ton of money during the original Jumptown Wars.
Right.
And that has led them to be able to build massive fleets to do things like lockdowns and
they
invade
invested in Jump Coin and now they
of course. Yeah.
So like that's the kind of an idea. So like a lot of role play, for the just as natural progression is just the lore itself is going to be impacted by your events. So you doing things is going to be role playing. You're playing a role in the game no matter what you do.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I'm sorry. I was going to say AstroPub's character, and when you go and bartend, exists.
Yeah.
Like that exists in the lore, And like I made up Jarvis for Bear Black, and I talked to myself as Jarvis's AI, and that was just for fun for me. But then they were like, "Oh yeah, no, Jarvis exists in this world. Like that's an actual thing." And I was like, "What?" I didn't really this is just for fun. But they're like, "No, that exists because you've been doing it." So it's just really cool that like they're super open to adding and playing with the narrative. Sorry, Myre, cut you off in the middle.
Oh, I mean, just to kind of like bookend the question, which was like, what could they add to Star Citizen to like make RP better and to facilitate it? Well, right now, if you have a multi-crew ship like a Carrack, and you're like, okay, here's the Carrack, and here's all the things it can do, or should do, I would love for instead of to say should do, just do. So like, operator modes, things like, we know that like we're getting quantum travel improvements in the future. They've talked about like quantum acceleration and staying on course. So obviously in the future, you'll have to have somebody as a quantum travel kind of like operator, but all the other things as well. Engineering, shield operator, everything that you would expect from like a Star Trek multi-crew experience, that CIG have already promised that they're, going to be adding to the game. Those things coming in will make the game better. And because at the end of the day, Star Citizen kind of like, because of the setting, like a lot of RP can just be facilitated by gameplay. Like instead of somebody in some other game standing and staring at a wall panel going, I'm calibrating, you can literally calibrate. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
that's a really good call.
I was going to step in and say, like, the one thing that Star Citizen has going for it, which really helps with role play, is that everything is steeped in the universe. You die in a, like, I've experienced in other games, as I've said beforehand, I secretly play a lot of role play stuff off streaming. I do it online, but I just don't necessarily stream it, which I got to start doing more often. But and so that just points to, you can do role play without streaming it. You don't have to be a creator. You can just kind of enjoy it. So that's one thing. But regen, for instance, and if you die in, say, another game, you have to like, oh, do I perma this character, or do I like how do I role play this person getting hurt? Well, in Star Citizen, regen exists, and that's it's respawn, but it's literally an in-lore like justification for respawn, and it works for role play. Oh yeah, I died, but I had an imprint, and my character respawns over here. Oh, what do you do? I got regen. I got killed. I got ghosted, and I become regen. It works perfectly fine in the narrative, and that's effectively how all of Star Citizen is built. Like, everything is built with the role play, with almost immersive content in mind. So it's so easy to just, you're probably role playing without even thinking about it when you're playing a game, just because of that.
It's so immersive.
I think that. So it's not kind of unique for CIG to do this, but I do feel like when it comes down to the lore of like in the game of Star Citizen, it's not like, embedded like it is in a Souls-like game. It's not hidden within seasons and stuff in like FPS games like Apex and Valorant. Like, you can literally go onto the RSI website and you can read stories and reams upon reams of lore, the Galactopedia and stuff. I think that CIG have done something really cool, really novel, just by having that nerd nest they call the lore masters, and then just kind of enabling them to make this universe, and then just keep reaming out story after story after story. It's just it's a really interesting thing that kind of just like, I don't really necessarily, I mean, I guess we know where they're going with it, like a lore kind of like advises gameplay when it comes to a game like this, but it's just novel. I like it a lot, it's just different in a very interesting way.
Yeah, it's very collaborative experience, I'll say that. And it's anyone who's done kind of immersive or improv, it feels very much like writing improv almost. It's they have to take what they see and then they have to craft it, and they can't say no because the players have already impacted it. So they can't say no. They got to move with it, and they got to figure out how that would work, and they got to spin that into a new idea. Yeah. Yep. So very cool with that.
Reminds me of a very interesting situation that happened where you have the game, the devs, and their lore, and the way that their lore is planned. I'm talking about Elite Dangerous. In Elite Dangerous, there was this like not scripted events, but like it was like an in-lore thing where some delegate from some like group had to go from A to B, because in the books they go from A to B, and then so they were doing so. And then this troll/pirate blows up the delegate NPC, and so now in the books going forwards and on the website and stuff, they now have to pay reference to this guy who basically ruined an event. But they don't call him by his name because his name is owned by J.K. Rowling.
Yes. So, All right, let's cap this discussion off before we move into the question and answers.
Mhm.
With I'm going to put you on a spot, Myre, for this one. Your favorite moment in role play for Star Citizen that you've had, something that's like just pops out of your brain right away that you remember.
Okay. When Redshift liberated Bear Black from Klesher, I think.
Yeah.
Did you turn that into a movie, or is that something different?
Yeah, we cut it up and put it onto YouTube. We get a couple comments every now and then saying, "Oh my God, why does this only have X likes?" Because I don't do anything else on that channel. But
I thought it was
yeah.
going to be the fashion show.
I can like two things.
Yes.
You can like. There it is.
There's the fashion show as well. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, that needs to happen again very soon.
Myth. Cord. What do you favorite moment starts to role play?
I think mine's gonna be the fashion show.
Okay.
Well, yes, the fashion show was awesome because I was like, oh sweet, I now have like because that was really sort of the tempering of my friendship of with Myre. Like we're like, okay, now this is awesome. We're gonna get into this and start doing some like Myre and I played in Actium,
Mhm.
and we were both belters, and we played off of each other very quickly, and it was a relationship immediately forged in humor and fun and camaraderie. And then when I started to shift it back into Star Citizen, we were able to get. I was able to get Myre to be like, "Hey, you should come role play." He's like, "How do?" And I remember when you DM'd me, you're like, "How do I role play in Star Citizen?" I was like, "Just role play. Just be your character, and but when bugs show up, just role play with them, like just use them." And like if someone and he was like, all right. And then the next episode of the next show I saw, I think it was the liberation of Bear in the from the prison, and it was just really really cool because there was a couple of times where we would meet. Where I like on it used to be a Thursday thing we would do where it'd be like, all right, I'm awake. What do you want to do today? Well, I think I'm going to do this. Okay, great. Well, see you on there. See you in there, and then we would just sort of morph and figure out what we were going to do without ever having to tell each other what we were doing. Oh, I'm going to go over to do some shipping or whatever. That was a lot of fun, but I think when we did the fashion show, where Fashion Citizen, I played a separate character named Donnie Cosmo, and he was like a crooner of space, which also I want to have Donnie Cosmo go and perform at the AstroPub. I think that'd be
There we
a
go.
lot of fun.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, I want to do I want him to be a star crooner and just sort of travel across space in his Merlin and be a celebrity. I think that'd be really cool. But anyway, that was really a lot of fun. That was the first time I got to play Donnie Cosmo and really sort of was supporting because Myre, by liberating Bear Black, was sort of supporting my narrative with Bear Black in that moment. Like, hey, I need you to do this thing for me. And then he was like, yeah, all right. And then went and did it with his org. But in the Fashion Citizen, it was Myre's baby. And it was fun to just be there and just support and be the co-host and just see Myre take control and just lead the whole thing. And really, it was really awesome to see a role play, see him be a role play leader in that event. It was just really,
You're
really
embarrassing me, Corin.
But yeah, that was really awesome. There was another time where someone called me up, random person. His name was The Stranger, and he gave me a really cool job, and that is on YouTube. I cut that up and put it on YouTube. I think it's known as The Strange Job, and it was just somebody who wanted to role play and just was sent me a message in DMs. I was like, "Hey, are you going to be on today?" And I said yes, and he's like, "All right, cool." And then he's like, "Expect a call," and I was like, "Okay." And then it was really cool. It was a really cool mission. And yeah, go check it out. It was really, really, really dope.
Nice.
But yeah, there's so many great moments. Maybe now that I'm thinking about it, there's so many great moments, right? But there's a couple that like stand out in all of it. But I think the most important one was when Bear and Jarvis started to exist. Me creating Jarvis being my Bear's illegal unbraked AI that he's smuggling around in a caterpillar, known as the imminent butterfly. And it is a lot of fun and playing with and just like because I wanted to role play in Star Citizen for so long, back in 2018, and no one was role playing in it. Oh, Myth, you like Star Citizen? Why are you role playing? And I was like, I would like to come role play with me, but it turned into no one role playing. So at some point, I downloaded. And this is me doing me rambling again. Like I said, long-winded answers, role play. I downloaded the voice attack, and then I downloaded a person. I don't remember who it was. Midnight. Hello, I'm Midnight. Yeah, I think it was Midnight. That's how he sounds. And he was like, "Oh, this guy's really cool." And then I just kept doing his voice, and then I kept answering instead. And then I was like, you know what? I could just do this. So I uninstalled
You know what?
voice
I'm
attack.
Midnight now.
Yeah. So I just uninstalled voice attack and then started and I was like, this is actually really cool. An unbraked AI, because voice attack, those AI are braked. They are intelligent, but up to a certain point. They can
They're
help you, they
VIs,
can react. They're VI. But having an artificial sentience locked in your ship is dope. So chat named him Jarvis, and then I had to figure out why. And there was
Jovian
Marvel
artificial
movies.
replicant intelligence self.
Exactly.
Jovian artificial replicant viable of intelligent self.
I missed the V. Damn it.
Yeah, viable of intelligent self. And so that's Jarvis, and it's been a lot of fun. And he and Bear banter back and forth, and that's how I would role play. I would start my show or start my stream, and then it would be Bear cargo running, but also Bear, this like cargo trucker,
Hey there, Everest. We're going to be making our way across the blue over to you. Look out about 3.2. See you in a couple of minutes. Over.
and like those kinds of like quantum jaw is what we would call it, which is like the trucker speak that he would speak. And then I used to have before DMCA country music playing and stuff. And then I would swap between he and Jarvis because just the contrast was a lot of fun. And that was a way that I kept my production brain, my ADD production brain going, and keep my ADD dopamine stimuli going. Was able to just talk to myself and challenge myself in that sort of creative space. So now I'm starting to notice as I play with more people that Jarvis and Bear don't really work, because Jarvis and Bear are good for that solo banter.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like I'll probably make other characters, and then when I'm going to go do cargo running or something, I'll have Bear and Jarvis or something.
Nice.
We'll see.
I just remembered what my it's a runner-up, because it was kind of like a very localized thing. Third most favorite thing was all right, so you'll have to I guess, Paul, guess what's happening.
All right, Mr. Black. Okay, they're not looking. So remember the signal. 3 flashes. All right.
All right, 3 flashes. Gotcha.
Sorry, it's like it was so cool. So we were at Jumptown at the beginning of this year.
Yes.
And
right.
Yeah.
Was it
so
during the Jumptown event?
Dude, yeah.
The Jumptown event.
Oh,
So Bear
okay.
Black and Biss, they go to Jumptown.
This was so good. I forgot about
And
this.
like this org is just basically like they have declared martial law over Jumptown. They're kind of role playing, but it's more like this is our org. We have power here. We determine who is allowed to land and who isn't. You know, Bear and I, we come in my Aurora or something, and like somebody from my chat, Red Knight, just gets blown up because they come in like a hawk or something like that, and not like a craft, even though they were talking in chat saying, hey, friendly talent's coming in now. So we go in there and they're like, okay, you guys, you have to work for us right now. You get some pay. You grab these boxes, put them in our ship. So then all the while broadcasting, through just talk
we're
chat.
Both streaming.
Yeah. I'm like,
okay, Mr. Black, just make sure you this way, Mr. Black.
We're just like talking and bantering back and forth. Some people stopped, moving boxes to look at us, talking with each other, then continuing to help out. And then like, I think, again, broadcasting, so anybody who was, there to eavesdrop would have heard. I was like,
okay, well,
you're broadcasting in the VoIP. In
VoIP, so everyone in game could hear this.
Yeah, so I was making sure that if anybody was, bothered, then they'd be able to like say, hey, what's happened? These guys are plotting, right?
Yeah, we walked away to have a meeting. Yeah.
We walked away. Exactly.
We walked away. Everybody was like grabbing boxes into this Vanguard. And then we're like,
a moment, please.
And we just walk off.
Yeah. So I was like, okay. So I was like,
okay, all right. So here's the deal. Right. When they least expect it, I'll give you the signal. But what should the signal be?
And then you flashed your stick with your headlight 3 times. I was like,
Perfect.
so anyway, they load up the
We all
Redeemer.
do. We all
Yeah,
loaded it.
yeah.
We
The
were
Redeemer is
working.
completely loaded up, and it's just Bear and Biss inside the hangar bay. The pilot is still in the seat, and then one other guy from this org comes in and says, "Okay, yeah." And this, he goes, "Okay, you two, you're coming with us to man the guns as we go back to thing." So we go, and then we land at Port Tressler. The pilot gets out, the gunner gets out, and they leave.
All
and
right,
what's
come
funny
with us,
is
we're
that
gonna pay you.
yeah,
Like,
come with us, we're gonna pay you.
Come on station, we're gonna pay you or whatever. And we're like, all right.
Yeah,
And
they
then of
walk
course
off the
us,
ramp.
Star Citizen players, yeah, walk off the ship, or they walk off the ship. And
Yeah,
then
and
Myre,
I
I
slowly
think you were
turned
flashing
to
me that whole time, right?
Yeah. I slowly turned my head to you. You turn your head to me, and we're like, choo, 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 choo. We close the ramp, run up and steal the ship and fly away. It was the best.
So good. Yeah, and then
I've lost the VOD.
no. And then we dropped out of Quantum. And then we
Mm.
had one of my other roleplay community members, Myre, came over with his Star Runner, and we out in dead space would spacewalk.
Transfer.
Yep,
Yeah.
transfer with our our micro whatever our Zeppy
tractor beams, yeah.
guns. Yep, and then we would transfer them over to the Star Runner, and then we just ditched that ship in dead space, and then dropped it all off over on a Star Runner somewhere.
Yeah, and then they
It
took
was-
Instagram packs. It was
Oh,
man, and it was
Beautiful.
such a cool little it was such a cool moment, and it was just so great, and it was such a Star Citizen thing to do. Like, you just left your ship unlocked
yeah.
with strangers. What are you doing? Silly goose. That was
It's
awesome.
not like Bear and Biss are like the most trustworthy sounding people. Like Biss literally sounds like every single pirate that goes, "You
Right.
bastard!" whenever you
Yeah.
shoot them.
Yeah,
And they're just like
right.
they
He
trust
sounds like Ninetales. Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
oh, that's great. No, that's
Thank
fantastic.
you for bringing that up. That was so good. I totally forgot about that. It was awesome. It was so much fun.
So what I'm gathering from that whole experience as well is to discuss is that experience is a good way of saying you can have awesome Star Citizen experiences with narrative attached to it with roleplay. It's the same experience as someone I'm sure someone else has done something similar where they like managed to sneak aboard a ship and steal it. But when you actively are plotting and everyone knows you're going to do it and no
Right
one
there.
snitches.
Yeah.
And you do it right there, and pull it off, and that's just a fantastic.
We walked
experience.
away, and then someone came over and went, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" And we're like, "Oh, everything's fine." And then we just came back and went back to work. It was like there was a foreman, and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
the foreman wants us." Like, we just started to, and because we walked off about 50 feet, still broadcasted, had this conversation, and they could have walked over and heard us, but they didn't. They just came over, "Hey, what are you guys doing? What are you?" And, "Oh, sorry, we're just." And then we just went back, and it was so good. It was
Awesome.
This game has its moments, and again, as if they can just make sure that VoIP doesn't cut out when you go into third person and like is consistent, like it's a tough one to beat. There's just way too much going for it with that kind of gameplay and that kind of like production.
Awesome. Yeah. So thank you for coming on and talking to us about role-playing Star Citizen. We're going to be moving into the question and answer session for right now. So those of you who are just joining us, the video will be on YouTube after the fact. So hopefully you're watching this on YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you are following and subscribing to Mythematic and Myre, both on their YouTubes and their Twitches. Check them out on their regular stream schedules as well. For those of you who are also watching this here recently on YouTube, I moved channels. You're watching this in the new channel, so double check to make sure that you're subscribed down below. So this is where all the content is for like gaming and such. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black.
I didn't just slap my microphone, tapping my hat like an idiot.